It's
If
the
you
most
have to
dangerous. It's the
perks
most
and
dangerous
mollies and-
thing that's facing our society.
Are you
So why sign an artist that would promote that?
Because I already answered that question. You weren't paying attention. She asked me talent or issues, and I said talent. But I have to. I can't give up on people.
But I'm saying that's hypocritical, though. You're saying the
It's
opioid problem's a problem.
opportunistic.
Yeah.
I got people to feed.
We don't claim you.
God will multiply your blessings. You are a great person, a great grandson, a great son, and a great friend. God will, multiply your blessings.
You ain't black. They don't give a fuck.
I can smell a motherfucker with money.
Stay the fuck away from these hoes. The dumb motherfuckers, like, god damn.
Ain't nobody slinging no dick in here but Big Daddy, because he the only one paying bills.
Right.
A Lord Hybrid is in the building.
Nigga got money.
A Lord Hybrid is in the building.
Nigga got money. Nigga got money.
A Lord Hybrid is in the building.
All right. We out here today. It's your boy Lord Hybrid, and we here to think and provoke thought, because we need right now. We at a stage where we need to think, and then we need to quantify our thoughts and arrange them in a way that, to the point that where it's a manual, giving people, helping people see what's wrong, and giving them a manual for what's right, because they need it. So let me see. What are we talking about today? We're talking about Faithless or Uncivilized, lifetime economics of married versus single women. Lifetime economics, okay? And the uncivilized, faithless. Let's see. Where's my little homie at? We're gonna let the little homie, you know what I mean? The young man, we're gonna let the young man give you some reality.
And the people down there are funny, bro. Like, a lot of them are funny. Like, they live these fake lives. Like, you don't know how many people I met, bro, that they were cool, but they just live these fake lives. Like, they'll be on Instagram every week going on a different trip. They going to Hawaii this week, Florida this week, then they going to Colorado up there to go skiing this week. And then you meet these people, you get close to them and whatever, and, bro, these people ain't got no car. They live at home with their mama. Or they leeching off of girls, living with girls, you know what I'm saying? Like, they not living like they portraying themselves to be living on the internet. And that was crazy to me, because I didn't think people really did that, you know what I mean? So that was absolutely crazy to me. It was multiple people that I met that was on that, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are the same people, because Atlanta's one of these places in America where if you want to, you can literally go out to party Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You will meet people that literally go out to party 7 days a week. And you'll wonder, like, bro, where you getting all this money from to be partying every single night? Don't you got a job? Don't you got to work the next day? Don't you got to be to work right now? Like, you know what I'm saying? And you'll meet these people and you'll be like, you know what I'm saying? Something ain't adding up. Bro, these people will be out here spending credit cards, maxing out their credit cards just to live this fake life on the internet, bro. And it is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Like, I just couldn't deal with it no more, bro. Like, I just could not deal. I was like, yo, this just isn't my crowd. This isn't people I grew up with. Like, I did not feel at home. Like, and it took a while for it to really set in. Like, for a while, I was cool with it. I was just going with the flow. And then I'm just like, man, like, I'm just really not, I ain't feeling it at all, bro. Like, I'm not feeling the people. I'm not feeling the rent. I'm definitely not feeling the females here, which is a subject I'm about to get into right now. Dating in Atlanta, as far as a straight male, is horrible. Like, it's absolutely horrible. Everybody out there just want a sugar daddy, or they just want, well, basically, what a sugar daddy is. They want somebody that they can have sex with when they want to, but they need that nigga to be paying them money to do what they want to do with. So basically a sugar daddy. That's really what all them girls out there are looking for. And I'm not spending no money just to get a girl. Like, but if that's your thing, you know what I'm saying? If you don't mind breaking off a couple of dollars, you can pull a baddie down there. Like, she'll give you what you want, but you gonna have to give her what she want too. That just wasn't my thing. And you would not believe how many girls I encountered that was like this. Like, I was even talking to this one girl one time, you know what I'm saying? And it was cool, it was going good. Like, had on a couple of dates. And that's where I should have hit the first, red mark and noticed something was off, you know what I'm saying? Like, she always acted like she ain't really had no bread like that. But then she would always come in these fancy designer clothes, bro. So I'd be like, where you get the money for these clothes, or where you get the clothes from? I ain't ask no questions, you know what I'm saying? That ain't my business. So her birthday coming around, you know,
He's demonstrating that in Atlanta, the young attractive women are monetized. And is, soon as you get into a relationship with these women, they start to monetize you. They start to extract, to value from you, because for them, dating, they view a man as a sponsor or a supplement to their income. Like, but the commitment part is what they don't want. They want, they think the only value they owe you is access to sex on their terms, and you owe them money. So the relationships have been totally monetized based on what this young man is saying in the city of Atlanta amongst, black people. There's a high level of monetization amongst the prime age women, and there's very little access to traditional dating. So it's hard for them.
saying, I'm being a nice guy that I am. I'm like, what you want for your birthday? You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking it's like something small. Like, we only been talking for a couple months. You know what I'm saying? I ain't doing nothing crazy. I'm just like, what you thinking? She said like this Prada person. I had put the laughing emojis in the message. I thought she was joking. Like, Prada. Like, I put the laughing face. I thought she was joking. And she was like pissed off. She was like, what's funny? Like, with a question mark. And I'm like, oh, she dead serious. Like, she expect me to get her a product. Like, I don't even wear a product myself, bro. Like, I like Tommy. I like Polo. It don't get much more design after that for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? I like very low-key designer, not no Prada. not no Fendi, not no Ferragamo, not no Gucci, not no Louis Vuitton. But that's what these women in Atlanta like, and that's what they want, and that's what they expect, because this is what they see on TV. This is what they see from these rappers. This is what they see from these women that they idolize to be on Love and Hip Hop. And this is what they're going to expect for you to do and get for them. And that was a problem for me. Like, I've been knowing you a couple of months and you asking me for Prada. Like, what do I look like? Like, do I look like a fool? Like, nah. So I wasn't going for that at all. And outside of just the women being very materialistic, they really, really, really care about their social media appearance, the way they look, the way that they're portraying themselves to be. The same as like I explained for the guys. These women do the same things, bro. They be walking around with Fendi on, Gucci, Ferragamo, you know what I'm saying, Louis Vuitton, and they don't got no jobs, bro. Like, these are the same women. They don't have no job. They live at home with their parents. They just waiting for an opportunity so they can leech onto it. They don't have no money, bro. No job. And it's like, where are you getting all this stuff from? They finessing it from sugar daddies. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't got no money. They don't got nothing. So I got so tired of dealing with these fake people, bro. And these people living these fake lives. And I'm just like, bro, I can't.
Or they need money just to survive. They still got to eat. They pay anything, or the jobs are shutting down because of COVID and they can't work and they can't get full-time schedule. It's just a whole bunch of bullshit. But the bills got to be paid. And they have to pay their rent, or their car payments, or their credit card bills. Or they need money just to survive. They still got to eat. So they all end up on either stripping, escorting, fans only, OnlyFans, whatever you want to call it. Excuse me, belching over here. Oh, yeah, hot. They end up in a world that they might not have even known existed until they came here. A lot of women move here and they end up prostituting. Atlanta is well known for having a sex industry here and young girls being forced into prostitution. Young guys being escorted in prostitution or doing porn. They come here with these dreams, they get them crushed. Now, I'm not saying everyone's coming here is having this problem, but the problem has so grown so large that you're sitting back saying, okay, what is going on here? I can't ignore the huge, this gigantic group of large individual guys doing porn on the internet or stripping, butt naked for cash, or escorting. Me personally, I would not pay for an escort. I just don't have no need to. But it's a huge industry because some people will pay. Old white men mainly. But, you know, it's weird. I meet these young, handsome, attractive guys and they're so caught up in this stuff. And they are caught up in it. Because they felt they had no other way, no other choice, no other way. And don't forget now, you got people who are, yeah, man, do this, you can do this, you can make money doing this, you can do that, and you can sell, you can do this. They get these guys all geeked up into believing that they're going to make a ton of money doing porn on the internet. All y'all going to make that type of money doing porn on the internet? Everybody and their mama doing porn on the internet, bent over, getting fucked on the internet? Really? Is it possible? That many people are subscribing and paying for pornography channels of fans only or whatever. That really? I'm not. But porn don't do nothing for me, so I don't have I'm not paying for this shit. I'm not getting paid for no escort. I might pay for a dancer, a little private dance. Private dancer, dancer for money. I've been to some strip joints. I've been had some memorable experiences at some strip joints too. I wasn't really a fan of the things at first until when I went with a friend of mine, and I said, wow, this is much nicer than I thought it would be. You private dancing, You get your little, your table dance. This is nice. Put my little money in tip and everything. I was hey, I'm human too. Now, I don't think I personally could dance myself. I don't think they want to see my old ass dancing. But them young folks, I need some young tenderonis. Where they at? I got my ones ready. But I wouldn't wish that lifestyle on anyone, because with that lifestyle, I know what comes with that. I never forget the night I went to that club and this young man danced for me. And when we were leaving, he approached me. He was like, "Where are you going now?" I said, "I'm going home." He's like, "You want some company?" I'm thinking, now, if I had been a whole lot younger and been married and not in a relationship, I might have really took that young man up on that offer. I can cook some breakfast at the house. Like, come on, let's just go. Well, he was fine as hell too. We would go home and have some breakfast. Go back to Waffle House first. Maybe God cook for you or something. You just get to sit and talk. But I was curious to know, what was this attractive guy doing in this club? Weeks later, after I saw him in there, he approached me at the gym. I didn't even know he went to my gym. He came up and said, "Yo, man, thanks for, tipping me and helping me out that night. I really appreciate that." I gave him some money. And he was just like, that was my first night there, and I was so nervous. And then you came in, and I was like, I don't know, I'm thinking you knew who I was. And he did. But I didn't recognize him from the gym. Now I see him in the gym all the time. I mean, this was a few years ago, but he still dances and does this on the side. Mind you, this young man has a girlfriend, and he also has children, minor children.
More tolerable for Sodom, he said to Capernaum, in the day of judgment than for thee. Now, obviously, by the time we get to Genesis 19, it's too late for Sodom, all right? If you would, turn back in your Bible to Genesis chapter 18. By the time we get to Genesis chapter 19, the cry of Sodom had gone up to heaven, and God had seen the wickedness of Sodom and just the exceeding sinfulness, the Bible says, and the cry of it had offended God, and he was ready to destroy and wipe out Sodom and Gomorrah. And we don't see God in that passage sending a prophet to call them to repentance. We don't see him sending a Jonah to them as if they were Nineveh to try to call them to repentance, to try to preach to them and help them. It was just too late. They were done. It's over. And so in Genesis 19, they're already doomed. And think about when Lot actually tries to warn a few people, they just laugh at him. They're not interested. The men of the city were men of Belial. The Bible says even from the oldest to the youngest, they were all participating in that wickedness that showed them to be sons of Belial, reprobates. They were doomed. But obviously Sodom was not always filled virtually with nothing but reprobates. No city starts out that way. San Francisco didn't start out the way it is right now. And so obviously Sodom was on a downward spiral. And when we get there in Genesis chapter 19, that's just the end of that path where they're totally doomed. There was a time.
Yo, Atlanta wasn't as bad as it is. Like the last time I've been in Atlanta or lived in Atlanta, it wasn't the Atlanta that these people describe. And the people you meet, everybody wasn't. I mean, when I moved to Atlanta, MySpace was still a thing. So there was no such thing as no OnlyFans. Of course, there was porn on the internet, but there wasn't, there was no Instagram. There was no even Facebook that was widely used at the time. So people weren't so into the internet, into their phones, and it hadn't been such infiltrated with the negative values from the legacy media who purposely transmitted demoralizing, anti-faith, and more pushing information that promoted the things that our faiths banned. That's what the legacy media has been doing. So and now that they have access, not only through like back in my day when I lived in Atlanta, it was through the TV. The phone wasn't the smartphone hadn't gotten to the point to where it is now. So people had the little Blackberries. It was kind of cool, but you couldn't really live stream and do all this crazy stuff that people do. So it was still person to person. It was still a lot of good, decent people. There was still a lot of people that went to church. It was still a lot of, Atlanta was actually safe when I lived there. Like we used to be out drunk all the time at night downtown. I mean, I never even felt the threat of anybody might rob me. I never saw a shooting, although I did see one shooting up in Gwinnett once in a parking lot, 2 guys. Yeah, so the legacy media gave us embedded itself more and gave us more information. Now it's more rappers making more raps. Everybody's rapping and they rap 2 albums a year, rapping. Now the girls are rapping, they rapping bad stuff. The boys been rapping bad stuff, but now the girls are rapping bad stuff.
It's the most dangerous. It's the most dangerous thing that's facing our society.
So why sign an artist that would promote that?
Because I already answered that question. You weren't paying attention. She asked me talent or issues, and I said talent. But I have to. I can't give up on people.
But I'm saying that's hypocritical, though. You're saying
it's opportunistic. Yeah. I got people to feed.
So now the legacy media has pushed so much demoralizing information. It's really more embedded in the people. So this Atlanta that these people speak about, I don't know this Atlanta. So it's because my thing was in corporate America, it was harder for me to make friends who were male because many of them were gay or undercover gay. And so once I realized that everybody I tried to be friend, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2, were gay, black guys, and it was just like I ain't feeling these niggas out here. I just can't fuck with these niggas. So I just stopped making friends, and I'm only dealt. My cousins and them would come on the weekends, and I would just hang out with my people. I didn't want nothing to do with no Atlanta niggas. But the young man talking about the dating now, hey, that's intriguing. People come from other places and go into Atlanta, and it's like the way they talk about everybody has the same thing that they say about the people.
This just ain't my type of crowd. This ain't my flow. So between the fake people, and they don't got no jobs, bro. Like these are the expect for you to do and get for them. And low-key designer, not no Prada, not no Fendi, not no Ferragamo, not no Gucci, not no Louis Vuitton. But that's what these women in Atlanta like, and that's what they want, and that's what they expect, because this is what they see on TV. This is what they see from these rappers. This is what they see from these women that they idolize to be on Love and Hip Hop. And this is what they're going to expect for you to do and get for them. And that was a problem for me. Like, I've been knowing you a couple of months and you asking me for Prada. Like, what do I look like? Like, do I look like a fool? Like, nah. So I wasn't going for that at all. And outside of just the women being very materialistic, they really, really, really care about their social media appearance, the way they look, the way that they're portraying themselves to be. The same as like I explained for the guys. These women do the same things, bro. They'll be walking around with Fendi on, Gucci, Ferragamo, you know what I'm saying, Louis Vuitton, and they don't got no jobs, bro. Like, these are the same women. They don't have no job. They live at home with their parents. They just waiting for an opportunity so they can leech onto it. They don't have no money, bro. no job. And it's like, where are you getting all this stuff from? They finessing it from sugar daddies. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't got no money. They don't got nothing. So I got so tired of dealing with these fake people, bro. And these people living these fake lives. And I'm just like, bro, I can't deal with this. Like, this just ain't my type of crowd. This ain't my flow. So between the fake people, the expensive prices of living here, the women, I'm trying to think of what else was really just terrible. Like, you know, people hate when I talk about it, but they act like it's not important to bring up. And it is. I don't care what people do in their free time, in their relationships. You know what I'm saying? That's your personal business. But the open, blatant homosexual scene down there is crazy. It's blatant. It's open. If you're out and about, you're going to see it every single day. So if it's not something that you're used to, or it ain't something that you really rock with, it's something to consider before moving here. You know what I'm saying?
We don't claim you.
Got it before I moved there, and I'm going to just leave it there. You'll see some wild stuff, bro. You'll see some wild stuff. It'll just blow your mind that it's that blatant and open. You know what I mean? And it's just crazy. And like I said,
when the people of Sodom could have been reached with the gospel. There's a time where the Bible says that if the mighty works that were done in Capernaum would have been done in Sodom, it would have remained until this day. So there was a time when those people could have been reached. No one starts out in life as a reprobate. We're not Calvinists, amen? So we don't believe that people are just chosen to be a reprobate. Every reprobate started out as an innocent little baby, and they grew up as a child, and they lived their life, and they went down a dark road, perhaps, that got them to being a reprobate, but they didn't start out that way. It's not God's fault that they are that way. There's a time when they could have been evangelized, they could have believed on the Lord, and they could have been saved, okay? Look at Genesis chapter 18, verse 23. This is when Abraham is talking to the Lord the day before Sodom gets destroyed, and the Lord reveals to Abraham that he's going to destroy Sodom. And of course, Abraham knows that his nephew Lot is in the city, and he doesn't want his nephew Lot to be wiped out. And so he begins to plead with God not to destroy the city. It says in verse 23, and Abraham drew near and said, wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Peradventure there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are therein? That be far from thee, to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should be as the wicked? That be far from thee. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? And of course, that is God's nature, to not want to just destroy the righteous with the wicked. He differentiates between the righteous and the wicked. And so he says, look, if there are 50 righteous, will you not destroy it? But then obviously Abraham gets to thinking, there's not 50 righteous people in that city. You know, he's close enough to Sodom to know there aren't going to be 50. So he begins to grind God down. He's kind of haggling with God. He gets him down to 40, 30, 20. Finally, he gets in verse 32. And he said, oh, let not the Lord be angry, you know, that I'm haggling with you so much and that I'm grinding you down. But he says, I will speak yet but this once, peradventure 10 it shall be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake. Now go, if you would, to John chapter 12. John chapter 12. Now, I've heard a lot of sermons preaching on this passage as I was growing up. And typically the theme that you'll hear preached from this passage is how Lot completely failed to witness to anyone for the Lord while he was in Sodom. Because we know he was a just man. We know he was a righteous man. He's saved. I mean, he'd been brought up by a really godly man, Abraham. And so you'd expect him to go in there and be an effective witness, an effective soul winner. And the preaching that you'll commonly hear from this passage is that Lot couldn't even reach his own family. Even his own family is messed up. They don't even believe on the Lord. They're not even saved. His own in-laws there aren't saved. It's like he couldn't get anybody saved. He can't even get 10 people saved the whole lifetime that he lives there. And you'll hear that preaching a lot, right? Well, here's the thing about that. We're basically taking that preaching that says, hey, Lot, why didn't you reach 10 people? And then it would have been spared. And we're basically saying, okay, San Francisco is not at the point of Sodom. San Francisco is not at that point. And you know what we're doing? We're getting in there and we're reaching those 10 people. And in fact, we're going to reach the 50 people. We don't want to haggle with God. We'll pay God top dollar here. We want there to be 50 people. So we've heard all this preaching our whole lives. People like Brother Jimenez and myself that grew up as fundamental Baptists. We've heard all this preaching all our lives about how, hey, Lot should have reached those people. The city could have been spared. Hey, here's what we're doing. We're reaching the people so the city could be spared. It's exactly what we're doing tomorrow. We're taking that preaching, and instead of just lamenting about Lot, we're going to go do something about it. We want to go and create that righteous remnant in the city that it might be spared, okay? Now, look down at your Bible in John 12, verse 37. And remember, our text verse tonight in Matthew 11 said, hey, if the mighty works which had been done in you had been done in Sodom, it would have remained unto this day. Look at verse 37 of chapter 12. But though he had done so many miracles before them, yet they believed not on him. So this verse relates to Matthew 11 because it talks about mighty works being done before them, right? Hey, if the mighty works would have been done in Sodom, it would have remained unto this day. By contrast, the mighty works are being done before the Jews, and in many cases, they're not believing on him. So they're, in that sense, doing worse than Sodom. That's why he said it'll be more tolerable for Sodom in the day of judgment than it will be for you. Verse 38 says that the saying of Isaiah the prophet might be fulfilled, which he spake, Lord, who hath believed our report, and to whom hath the arm of the Lord been revealed? And then for those that are skeptical of the reprobate doctrine, look at verse 39. Therefore they could not believe. Why? Because that Isaiah said again, he's blinded their eyes. Who blinded their eyes? God. He blinded their eyes and hardened their heart, that they should not see with their eyes, nor understand with their heart, and be converted.
See, that's the kind of stuff that, like, it's like when they say you can't turn a hoe into a housewife. When these young women develop these bad habits, they're tainted forever. You're not going to be able to go down there and evangelize one or reform her. I think on the last video, a dude talked about that. He was dating this chick. Then he came down from wherever. He was long distance dating an Atlanta chick. And he came down, he moved the chick in, and then the relationship went south immediately because she has been tainted by her bad habits and bad decision making, her bad mentality. So she's not fit. And so, one of the reasons why I moved where I moved when I bought my house was because of the type of people that lives in the area, and it has a great benefit. A bunch of decent people, even if all of them not the most friendliest, but they're good, decent people with good morals and good behavior, good habits and ways. So when you living in a kind of sinful place, it's like I wouldn't live in Las Vegas. I think that's what it is, where everybody goes to gamble. There's a lot of prostitution because they call it Sin City. I don't want to live in like real sinny places like Atlanta, Las Vegas. I don't want to live in that kind of place. and because then you got more people doing more bad stuff, and it just the overall energy is bad. And these stories, these biblical stories, help us understand how to frame these things and what perspective we should look at them, because the legacy media is telling us we should accept these certain things. We should accept abnormal gender relations and representations. We should accept a lot of stuff that's not acceptable. So they're reframing it, but we have to go get a biblical frame to know, because if we don't have the Bible to tell us what's right from what's wrong, then they're gonna tell us what's right from what's wrong, and they might tell us what's wrong is right. It seems like a lot of the times they're telling us what's wrong is right.
It's the most dangerous. It's the most dangerous thing that's facing our society.
So why sign an artist that would promote that?
Because I already answered that question. You weren't paying attention. She asked me talent or issues, and I said talent. But I have to. I can't give up on people.
But I'm saying that's hypocritical, though. You're saying
it's opportunistic. Yeah. I got people to feed.
Is the mentality that people have here is interesting. I'll say that. So if you're from maybe I don't know where, I'm from Indiana, and it was a lot for me to adjust the way people think down here, because it's very much like they're about their money. If you're not talking about anything, they don't want to talk to you. They're very I don't want to say stuck up, because not everyone's stuck up here. It's not even like that. But it's people really treat you bad down here if you don't have anything to offer them. They'll just look at you. They'll look down on you if you can't if you don't serve any value to them. And it's dang, I'm a person. I don't know. They're very funny acting if they don't think you have anything to offer them. And that just sucks. People's mentality down here is so money oriented. Everyone down here is just trying to get the next dollar, trying to hustle, trying to do this. And it's chill out. Just vibe, twin. Just vibe. Literally, it's just not that serious. It's never that deep. But that's everyone's mentality down here. And it's kind of just draining. Meeting people who only want something out of you and want to see what they can get out of you, or what you can do for them. I've noticed that a lot. Just beware of that kind of thing. People here it's hard. I found it. I'm just speaking from my experience only. I found that it's extremely rare to meet someone down here that's genuine. Genuine intentions, just wants to get to know you just because they like you, don't want to take advantage of you.
So she's saying it's rare to meet a person who doesn't want to take advantage of you, who doesn't have an ulterior motive. So, what does that say about the society? You just can't walk down the street or go to a local grocery store and randomly everybody you meet, whether it be your coworkers, somebody's trying to take advantage of you. It wasn't like that even in Atlanta when I went there. The dudes were it was still a lot of crappy stuff there. The dudes in the corporation, a lot of them was gay. Most of them was gay or bi or whatever they were. Then there was lots of married women wanting to have sex with me. Yeah. So you be thinking, oh, she married, and you just don't, try to holler at her or nothing. You just be respectful and cordial, but you try to not really interact too much with this person. Those married chicks be the ones out there on the prowl. So even way back then, it was still a kind of low moral. I was working in Charlotte before I was working in Atlanta. So leaving Charlotte and going to Atlanta, Totally different. Everything was different. More materialistic and more gay. But all of these, like everybody trying to take advantage of you, like everybody trying to get something out of you. Everybody's broke and flexing on the Instagram. Didn't have Instagram. So they hadn't devolved to that level. Now you add in the internet, and the crazy part about it is the addiction with representing yourself a certain way on the internet, on Instagram. That desire is taking away your future because it's making you blow all your money that you're supposed to be. Like for me, when I was in those age ranges, like when I was in my mid-20s, late 20s, I was trying to live cheap. I had a paid for little raggedy car from college, which I wasn't trying to get rid of. I was just gonna keep riding it long as it would ride. I had a modest apartment. I had modest clothes. And because of that, I could live off, if I got 2 checks a month, I could live off 1 check. And even so, like there were affordable apartments that weren't ghetto. You had the poor ghetto ones, but then you just had the like working class, jungle people apartments. They were still kind of cheap. Didn't have many features or many luxuries, but they were decent. Yeah, you could get a nice apartment for $600, $700. You're not making a lot, but you can handle that rent. And then but because they can't have the mentality like the frugal mentality or the modest mentality, because I wouldn't necessarily say I was frugal, but I was modest. But my goal was keep me safe and be able to keep all my bills on this 1 check so I have disposable income. Now that disposable income is what I saved and what I used to invest in things I was doing. So I was doing photography and videography, so I was able to invest in some lights and cameras and computers to be able to do that kind of work independently, have a side hustle. Then when I wanted to start my business, save up some money, get a website, then save up, get some products, get my little first, find a small batch supplier, get my little products, and start my marketing and experiment and trying to initiate my business. But I always had more money coming in because I always had disposable income. So what if I had taken that money that I was using to start my business and I was buying Gucci and Prada and Ferragamo to flex on Instagram, even though I'm broke? The future that I'm living in right now, where I'm a 100% owner, self-made millionaire, debt-free person, starting multiple businesses and going to even higher levels, I wouldn't have got here because I would have fucked off all my money flexing. For what? So then you lose your future and you lose all your morals because now, I will do anything. I will scam anybody. I will date any old man. I will do all of these things. And it's in the majority of the youth in this one low vibration city. There's one demoralized city. Yep. So they should be trying to look for cheap accommodations, cheap transportation, trying to keep themselves away from crime, to keep their records clean. Living frugal, having roommates, trying to let me save $3,000 a month. Let me see if I can save $3,000 a month. Let me see if I can save $4,000 a month. They're taking that money, investing it into things that they believe they can do entrepreneurially. You're gonna fail, but also at the same time, you can be learning. You can be reading business books, and you can really start developing yourself into an entrepreneur. But you can't do that when you spending all your money on Gucci and Louis Vuitton just to flex on the internet to look like something that you're not. This is what the young people say is the predominant behavior of young blacks in Atlanta.
Very rare, because most of the people I found down here, especially like guys, like genuine intentions, just wants to get to know you just because they like you, just don't want to. Just beware of that kind of thing. People here just, it's hard. I found it. I'm just speaking from my experience only. I found that it's extremely rare to meet someone down here that's genuine. Like genuine intentions, just wants to get to know you just because they like you, just don't want to like take advantage of you. It's very rare, because most of the people I found down here, especially like guys, I would say guys specifically guys down here, they'll like try to befriend you. They'll do this for you. They'll do that for you, but they want something from you. Unless they're one of the diamond in the rough, they want something from you.
That's their business, but it is something that you have to acknowledge before. But they act like it's not important to bring up, and it is. I don't care what people do in their free time, in their relationships, you know what I'm saying? That's your personal business. But the open, blatant homosexual scene down there is crazy. It's blatant, it's open. If you're out and about, you're gonna see it every single day. So if it's not something that you're used to, or it ain't something that you really rock with, it's something to consider before moving here. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't really think too much about it before I moved there, and yeah, I'm gonna just leave it there. You'll see some wild stuff.
I don't know what's going on. I don't ask no questions on it. But yeah, he has a girlfriend. He has kissed a girlfriend, and but he was dancing butt naked in this club. Like, that was my first night there, and I was so nervous. And then you came in, and I was like, I don't know. I'm thinking you knew who I was, and he did. But I didn't recognize him from the gym. Now I see him in the gym all the time. I mean, this was a few years ago, but he still dances and does this on the side. Mind you, this young man has a girlfriend, and he also has children, minor children.
Man, that's a hard thing to think about, bro, if you really think about what he's just said. He met a guy in a gay strip club, and the guy offered, he got a lap dance from the guy. Then the guy offered to escort with him that night. When he was leaving out, he was like, where you going? I said, I'm going home. I said, hey, you want some company? He's doing OnlyFans gay porn. He's stripping. He has a girlfriend and 2 small children. Just imagine if your pops, that was your dad, man. I just don't know what kind of way that would affect him as a father. I'm like, I couldn't imagine my dad was living that. My dad was stripping for guys and escorting with guys, butt naked, bending over butt naked for guys in the club, and going home with them for money, and being my dad. What kind of, that has to affect him as a father. That has to affect him as a father. That has to affect what kind of person he is. I mean, just imagine that was your dad, man. That was how he was living, you know? That's insane. And it's insane, it's scary, it's very unfortunate. And I just don't understand what kind of dad he would be with that lifestyle.
And you knew who I was, and he did. But I didn't recognize him from the my one's ready. And I said, wow, this is much nicer than I thought it would be. You're private dancing, you get your little, your table dance. I said, this is nice. Put my little money in tip and everything. I said, hey, I'm human too. Now, I don't think I personally could dance myself. I don't think they want to see my old ass dancing. But them young folks' houses, they need some young tenderonis. Where they at? I got my ones ready. But I wouldn't wish that lifestyle on anyone, because with that lifestyle, I know what comes with that. I never forget the night I went to that club and this young man danced for me. And when we were leaving, he approached me. He was like, where are you going now? I said, I'm going home. He's like, you want some company? I'm thinking, now, if I had been a whole lot younger and been married and not in a relationship, I might have really took that young man up on that offer. I can cook some breakfast at the house. Like, come on, let's just go. Well, he was fine as hell too. We would go home and have some breakfast. Go back to Waffle House first. Maybe God cook for you or something. You just get to sit and talk. But I was curious to know, what was this attractive guy doing in this club? Weeks later, after I saw him in there, he approached me at the gym. I didn't even know he went to my gym. He came up and said, yo, man, thanks for, tipping me and helping me out that night. I really appreciate that. I gave him some money. And he was just like, that was my first night there, and I was so nervous. And then you came in, and I was like, I don't know, I'm thinking you knew who I was. And he did. But I didn't recognize him from the gym. Now I see him in the gym all the time. I mean, this was a few years ago, but he still dances and does this on the side. Mind you, this young man has a girlfriend, and he also has children, minor children. I don't know what's going on. I don't ask no questions. But yeah, he has a girlfriend. He has kids, a girlfriend, but he was dancing butt naked in this club, and wanted to go with me after the club. Where was I going? I went home. But this man. So I've learned, people are going to do what they need to do to survive. Whether it's stripping, or escorting, pornography. The thing that concerns me is these guys have talents. Some of them actually do have some talents. And it used to be that people would really focus on their talents. Where was I going? I went home. But this man. So I've learned, people are going to do what they need to do to survive.
The young people today don't know about survival. They don't even know how much it costs to survive, because they've never paid just to survive. They are spending excess more so than what is necessary for survival. Basically meaning that they make a lot of bad financial decisions. Yeah. How much does it cost to live in the cheapest apartment that you'll be safe in? Get a modest car. Not buy designer clothes. Not buy lashes and weaves all the time. Do your own hair sometime. Do your own hair all the time. Or your friends do each other hair. Or your mama do your hair. Something like that. Do it natural instead of all that weave you buying. Them lashes you buying. All that makeup you buying. You don't really need that to survive. The big data plan you got. All these subscriptions you got. If you strip all that shit down to barely surviving, it probably don't cost. I know it costs more to survive than it cost when I was that age, but also y'all making double the money. I got out of college making $26,000. Y'all niggas getting 40,000, 50,000. So everything is doubled together mostly. I'm sure the inflation kind of pulled you back in terms of spending power. But you don't know how to get right there at the survival level to where you're surviving comfortable enough. You don't have any of the amenities. I didn't have in my 20s any amenities. Basic apartments, raggedy cars. Harder to date, yes, because after college, dudes start buying cars, taking out loans. I always was like, that's dumb. And right now, my car's still running and it's running perfect. So I'm not getting in that debt to look cool. I got to minimalize in terms of I got to make sure I have disposable income. If you can't create a situation in which you have disposable income, then you're a perpetual slave. You have no way out. The only way you're going to get yourself out of there is with your disposable income, which you're spending on Gucci, Ferragamo, Prada, trying to look like LV, trying to look like the rapper on Instagram. Idolatry.
Some wild stuff. It'll just blow your mind that it's that blatant and open. You know what I mean? And it's just crazy. And like I said, people can do what they want to do. That's their business. But it is something that you have to acknowledge before moving there and really realize what you're walking into. You know what I'm saying? And another thing down there is it's very disease filled too. You know what I'm saying? Atlanta is the HIV capital of the United States. And this is why they have, what is it called? The National Cancer Society and the National Disease Center, whatever them things are called. I can't think of the appropriate acronyms, but the Disease Center, Controlled Disease Center.
You talking about the CDC. It's right there in Atlanta.
Of America, whatever it's called. It's in Atlanta. It's right downtown. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to control the disease and all the stuff they got going on down there. They're trying to keep under control. Homelessness in Atlanta is absolutely horrible. Literally every time you stop at a stoplight, you're gonna have some homeless dude walk up to your car, look you dead in your eyes. He might even tap on your glass a little bit. Like almost every stoplight, every time you get off of a freeway or a highway and you coming onto like an off ramp, it's gonna be somebody standing right there looking dead at you, like with a cup or with something in his hand, just praying that you get him some money. Like, it's just real depressing, bro. It's sad. It's a lot of negatives to Atlanta. Now, I'm gonna talk about some of the positives because I don't think it's ever fair to sit here and just bash on the place. You know what I'm saying? Especially because you can pull a baddie down there, like, she'll give you what you want. I'm not feeling the people. I'm not feeling the rent. I'm definitely not feeling the females here, which is a subject I'm about to get into right now. On the rent, I'm definitely not feeling the females here. Not feeling the females here, which is a subject on the rent. I'm definitely not feeling the females here, which is a, I'm definitely not feeling the females here, which I'm not feeling the rent. I'm definitely not feeling the females here. Not feeling the females here, which is a subject I'm about to get into. Not feeling the females here. I'm definitely not feeling the females here. I'm definitely not feeling the females here. I'm definitely not feeling the females here, which is a subject I'm about to get into right now. Dating in Atlanta, as far as a straight male, is horrible. Like, it's absolutely horrible. Everybody out there just want a sugar daddy, or they just want, well, basically, what a sugar daddy is. They want somebody that they can have sex with when they want to, but they need that nigga to be paying them money to do what they want to do with. So basically a sugar daddy. That's really what all them girls out there are looking for. And I'm not spending no money just to get a girl. Like, but if that's your thing, you know what I'm saying? If you don't mind breaking off a couple of dollars, you can pull a baddie down there. Like, she'll give you what you want, but you're gonna have to give her what she want too. That just wasn't my thing. And you would not believe how many girls I encountered that was like this. Like, I was even talking to this one girl one time. you know what I'm saying? And it was cool. It was going good. Like,
The title of my sermon this evening is Dating Standards. Dating Standards. Now, when it comes to dating, we shouldn't have an attitude that just anything goes. And so I want to go over in this sermon some standards for dating, principles or morals that we should have when it comes to dating. How do these things work in our modern world? In 2024 America, right? Young people are growing up and they want to get married, right? This is what normal people do. And so how are they going to meet the right person? How are they going to get to know that person? We don't believe in arranged marriages. You know, there are cultures that do that, and there are people who believe in that. Obviously, we don't practice that. We don't believe in that. And so, biblically speaking, though, we want to have some standards so that we don't just go the way of this world, which is a lot of fornication and wrong things that we want to stay away from. Now, what does the word standard mean? I looked it up in the dictionary, and it had a whole bunch of different standards, a whole bunch of different definitions, because it's a word that means a lot of things. But definitions 3, 4, and 5 seem to be what we're after tonight with dating standards. Number 3 was this: a rule or principle that is used as a basis for judgment. You know, the standard of what is right and what is wrong, right? Number 4, an average or normal requirement, quality, quantity, level, grade, etc. Or number 5, standards, morals, ethics, habits, etc., established by authority, custom, or an individual as acceptable, right? So you're growing up in a Baptist church. Certain things are acceptable. Certain things aren't. You're growing up in America. Certain things are acceptable. Certain things aren't. Well, different people have different standards. Everybody has standards. But different people, different times, different places have different standards. Who's right? What does the Bible teach? Now, obviously, when I preach a sermon like this, I'm going to be preaching from the Bible, but at the same time, I'm going to be putting in some things that are my own personal opinion, because I think it's pretty much impossible to preach on a subject like this without giving your opinion, because of the fact that the Bible doesn't necessarily go into a lot of really clear details on these things, which I believe is God giving us liberty to use the principles of the Bible to live our lives in a way that we see fit, but still in a way that's pleasing to God within the parameters that he's given us. And even the Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, he gives God's word, he gives what Christ has commanded, but then he turns around and says, well, this is my opinion. This is not from the Lord. This is just my view, and he gives his own view. And I think that the reason why God allowed that to be included in the Bible is to show us, hey, it's okay to have your opinion. It's okay to have your views. We just need to differentiate between that which the Bible clearly teaches and that which is our opinion. We don't want to teach for doctrines the commandments of men. And so it's okay to have your own rules. Look, every one of us has our own rules in our house. We don't need a Bible verse for every rule. I can't, hey, you have to brush your teeth. Well, give me chapter and verse on that. No, that's just our rule, right? We can all make rules in our house. We have our own ideas. We have our own principles, and that's not a bad thing. We just want to make sure that we don't teach those things as Bible or claim that they're God's word. So we need to be tolerant of people who have a different viewpoint. So I'm going to be giving biblical principles, but I'm also going to be giving my opinion at times, and I'll try to make it clear what's what as I preach the sermon. The first point that I want to give you tonight is that the goal of dating is marriage. And by the way, for each of these points, I'm going to explain what the Bible teaches and what the biblical principle is that we should be following. But then I'm also going to explain how these things can be taken too far. Because I think a lot of people take dating standards too far. Okay? Good things, good ideas, good principles, good rules can be taken to unbiblical or wrong extremes. You know, modesty is a good thing. Women wearing modest apparel, but then the Muslims take it to an extreme, don't they? And so we want to make sure that we don't get off into just extreme views or get into some kind of a contest of who can be more radical with their views, okay? We need to understand that some dating principles can be taken too far. And I think that this is a big problem among fundamentalist Christians in general, Baptists, evangelicals, that sometimes they get so strict on their dating standards that they make it very difficult for their young people to date and get married. It's already hard enough, and then they make it way harder. And like I said earlier, we don't believe in arranged marriage. So if we're not going to arrange it for them, then we can't make it impossible for them to do it on their own, right? And so we need to find some middle ground here between just anything goes and just let them do whatever, and this super strict kind of like extreme courtship or whatever. We need to find some middle ground here. So I'm going to be given a biblical principle, and then I'm going to talk about how it could be taken too far. Okay. So point number 1, and you're there in Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4, it says, marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled, but whoremongers and adulterers God will judge. The Bible says, whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtaineth favor of the Lord. God wants us to get married, right? It's not good for the man to be alone. Therefore, God has provided this institution of marriage so that a man can leave his father and mother, cleave unto his wife, and they two can be one flesh. That is God's plan. And so dating should have a purpose toward marriage.
Dating should have a purpose towards marriage.
Dates, and that's where I shouldn't. So basically, a sugar daddy. That's really what all them girls out there are looking for. Basically, what a sugar daddy is. They want somebody that they can have sex with when they want to.
Now, see, sugar daddying is wrong, but on a economic level, it does make sense. But it's destructive because it's messing up the natural order of things. Whereas there's a lot of young men like this young man who can't get a girlfriend because guys like me hogging up all the young hot chicks, corrupting them, and now they've been reprogrammed from finding a husband to finding a sponsor. Younger man hasn't built himself up yet. He hadn't had enough time, so he can't compete. Or he has to share his girl with me. Yeah. He might think he's not paying, but he is paying. It's like the other dude moved from wherever he was at to Atlanta to be in a relationship with a girl who was stripping. Now that stripper probably had a sugar daddy, much like me, who was paying. And he thinks he's getting it for free, but she's living with him. So you definitely paying. And who's winning out of that relationship is the sugar daddy. Sugar daddy don't want her to be his girlfriend. He just want to have her when he want her. He's paying his fee. It's done. And see, I don't hear none of these young people talking about game, how you can game these chicks. They're talking about these women are there to extract from you. So the sugar daddy, when I'm sugar daddy, look, I just want to, you know what I'm saying? When I call you, hook me up. Is your money not really hurting me, but the dude that her boyfriend, he got to deal with all of the, the rest of that. He got to deal with her more, especially just imagine having to live. Look, out of all the chicks I met when I was hardcore sugar daddying, I wouldn't have wanted to live with any of them. No way. Live with her as my girl. If I had a choice between living with her as my girl or even not living with her, but she's my girl, or being her sugar daddy, I'll always choose to be her sugar daddy. I don't want to be anything serious with her. So what's hurting? So my presence in the market is hurting this young man and young men like him. They can't find in Atlanta particularly, but in many places. It's like the guy said, if you got money and you willing to be a sugar daddy, you can get a baddie. He didn't say if you look good. He didn't say if you got game. He said if you got money. So who you think will have more success with women in Atlanta? A sugar daddy like me with money, or a mouthpiece game guy with no money or little money, a lot less money? Who's gonna win? You know who's gonna win.
But they need that nigga to be paying them money to do what they want to do with. So basically a sugar daddy. That's really what all them girls out there are looking for. And I'm not spending no money just to get a girl. Like, but if that's your thing, you know what I'm saying? If you don't mind breaking off a couple of dollars, you can pull a baddie down there. Like, she'll give you what you want, but you gonna have to give her what she want too. That just wasn't my thing. And you would not believe how many girls I encountered that was like this. Like, I was even talking to this one girl one time, you know what I'm saying? And it was cool, it was going good. Like, had on a couple of dates. And that's where I should have hit the first, red mark and noticed something was off, you know what I'm saying? Like, she always acted like she ain't really had no bread like that. But then she would always come in these fancy designer clothes, bro. So I'd be like, where you get the money for these clothes, or where you get the clothes from? I ain't ask no questions, you know what I'm saying? That ain't my business.
What the fuck you do that for?
You know what I'm saying? I'm being a nice guy that I am. I'm like, what you want for your birthday? You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking it's like something small, like we only been talking for a couple months, you know what I'm saying? I ain't doing nothing crazy. I'm just like, what you thinking? She said this Prada person. I had put the laughing emojis in the message. I thought she was joking. Like, Prada, like I put the laughing face. I thought she was joking. And she was like pissed off. She was like, what's funny? Like with a question mark. And I'm like, oh, she dead serious. Like,
Stay the fuck away from these hoes. The dumb motherfuckers. Like, god damn.
I like polo. It don't get much more design after that for me.
Whether it's stripping or escorting, pornography. The thing that concerns me is these guys have talents. Some of them actually do have some talents. And it used to be that people would really focus on their talents, whether it was being a chef or a painter, whatever talent you had, you would work on that and you would make a living doing this. But now they're taking their talents and throwing it to the side to be butt naked in some painting sip or pornography or escorting. And I don't understand why so many people are getting involved in this. And maybe people have been involved in this for years, and maybe I just didn't pay no attention to this. But Instagram, I did videos about this. I know y'all probably sick of me talking about this, but y'all don't understand how bad this problem is here. This problem has reached an epidemic of young men and women, our brothers and sisters, selling themselves, prostituting themselves for money. And maybe it has been going on a lot longer than what I would suspect. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it should have been going on before I was born. But now it has reached, you have a large group of beautiful men and women fronting on Instagram to be fitness trainers or whatever, but they're really doing something else. And I find this is alarming to me, as it should be to anyone, that we're using our brightest, young, brilliant people to an industry of sex and pornography and stripping and drugs, because it all runs hand in hand. Drugs in Atlanta have reached an epidemic proportion with methamphetamine, coke, everybody. Just a lot of shit going on here. And I don't think people initially came to Atlanta with this in mind. Some people probably did. I'm going to go to Atlanta and strip. Some people probably did. I can imagine a lot of women probably head this way. They know about the strip clubs and they want to go dance. They see this being easy money, and it could be easy money to start off with, and it turns into something else. Because you better believe all those women who strip are also escorting and prostituting also.
This man says a large number of them, meaning the majority of them, most of them, are selling themselves in some form. And this is why I say the faithless are uncivilized, because your faith just gives you certain limitations on your behavior. This is wrong. That's wrong. You can't do that. Don't do that. These young people haven't had any type of instruction on right from wrong, which we get from faith. So they are uncivilized. Civilization is more than just behavior. I mean, now we have a civilized infrastructure with roads and stuff like that. So in the United States, in Europe, we're more civilized. We have a more civilized, more developed infrastructure. So now in Atlanta, you have their infrastructure wise civilized, first world, morally uncivilized. Your morals is the center piece of your intelligence. It's not how much you know. If you have morals, you will fare far better than a person without morals over time. You will prosper more, you will prosper longer. It'll be easy to know what to avoid and what not to avoid. Makes you more intelligent. And the more I use my faith-based principles in my business, it makes me more profitable. It makes me more sustainable. Known as doing good business. Want people in business recommend me to others, and I get more income. I get a large percentage of my income growth based on referrals from like smaller companies and stores, stuff like that do business with me. Yeah, I know this guy over in this town that you can do business with. And many people put my salespeople on the other locations and stores and businesses just because they've been doing business with us for so long, and we do good business. We're honest, capable, hardworking, and dedicated to quality. And a lot of principles that come from my faith, help me to avoid making dumb decisions. A lot of dumb decisions are made, especially by young people, but by all people when they're drunk. So if you avoid drunkenness, you may avoid 75, 80% of your youthful problems. And then when it comes to dating, if you understand the purpose of dating, which is the purpose of dating, as the good Reverend said, what did he say?
The title of my sermon this evening is Dating Standards. Dating Standards. Now, when it comes to dating, we shouldn't have an attitude that just anything goes. And so I want to go over in this sermon some standards for dating, principles or morals that we should have when it comes to dating. How do these things work in our modern world? In 2024 America, right? Young people are growing up and they want to get married, right? This is what normal people do. And so how are they going to meet the right person? How are they going to get to know that person? We don't believe in arranged marriages. There are cultures that do that, and there are people who believe in that. Obviously, we don't practice that. We don't believe in that. And so, biblically speaking, though, we want to have some standards so that we don't just go the way of this world, which is a lot of fornication and wrong things that we want to stay away from. Now, what does the word standard mean? I looked it up in the dictionary, and it had.
But yeah, they when when you hear this young man, they're dating for money right now. They're not dating for marriage. Supposed to date for marriage. The whole point of dating is not to have fun. It's to secure a husband. Women should only be dating to secure a husband. But because these people don't have any faith-based understanding of what dating means, then it's like he said, anything goes. Get him for the money, scam him, steal his identity, set him up, act a fool, make him pay your money. If he got some savings, get some of that. Try to forget as much information, where he worked, how much his salary is, what's his position, look up his salary on the internet. Try to make up a little sob story, get some money out of him, help me. I'm a damsel in distress. I need your help. You're my man. You're supposed to help me. Then go buy Gucci for the Instagram. How can you so their dating perspective is uncivilized because they don't have any faith base to it. Everything we come up with outside of faith is going to be uncivilized, and to a certain extent, it's going to be uncivilized. This is the norm. This is the normal, natural state of humans without faith. Just whittled down to the basic animalistic things that's not sustainable. And the bottom line is, what's happening now in Atlanta between young men and women is unsustainable. There will be a population collapse because there's no family formations. Without family formations, which is the structure of the society, there's going to be a huge decline in population. Then with the acceptance of the LGBTQ lifestyle and the promotion of it through the legacy media and the openly acceptance of it in some of these cities and really flamboyance putting it out there, that mixed with the heterosexuals don't even know how to interact. At the time when they're supposed to be forming families, there's going to be an extreme population collapse. And these people are not going to have bright futures because most of them, when I was in my 20s, I was living frugal and trying to teach myself how to be entrepreneur. Most of my friends were working hard in their careers and moving up. If all you do in your whole 20s is scamming and selling yourself and anything for the money, you're not learning any skills. And in your 20s, you're supposed to be getting your certifications, getting your degree, getting your experience, getting your, knowledge on how to be an entrepreneur, having your first little few ventures. These are the years you're supposed to be, whatever direction you going, you're supposed to be charging full fucking speed ahead. But you're spending your whole youth focused on everything except for the things that are sustainable. Just like when I was when that Woodman, that dude from the Timberland growing dude, he did say one thing about treating a perpetual business like a finite business. I'm gonna find that.
How's it going? In my last video, I talked about other longer finite games, or even ideally infinite. I use the word game, it can also refer to things like projects or retirement dates, and retiring is your goal. And these games are important for a lot of reasons. Firstly, because they give us a win every once in a while, and God knows life doesn't hand them out too often. So it gives us a little bit of motivation to keep on. Conditions of victory have been fulfilled, that finite game ceases to matter, and the high you get from that win. But importantly, once the conditions of victory have been fulfilled, that finite game ceases to matter, and the high you get from that win starts to diminish. Now, that high could be more a sense of accomplishment, or it could be concrete, like some cash. You know, you can get one injection of cash, but that's not going to sustain you for the rest of your life. You have to keep getting more cash. And so you could broadly call this value, whether or not it's a sense of meaning or actual cash. Finite games have a very limited amount of value that they can give you. And so people tend to turn to infinite games to get more value. So what are these infinite games that provide the most value? Well, they can be things like family. They can be things like religion or a set of ideals, something you're constantly striving for or building. You can't win at family. You can't win at religion, despite what some may think.
So you get how this applies in this situation with these young people. He says there's finite games and infinite games. And if you play a infinite game from a finite perspective, you lose. So the example that can be used is you buy real estate. If you buy it and keep it up and rent it, it will be a perpetual asset that will keep making you money. But if you buy it, then when it go up, flip it. Now you make a quick gain, but now you got nothing. And this is how they're playing their fertile years and the family formation years. What they're doing is playing that. If you do the family thing, that's regenerative, which means it's sustainable. You will regenerate new people. You'll invest into those people, then they'll go out into the world, and later in life, they'll be there for you to help you when you need them most. But they're playing their youth as a finite game. Let me get some money out of this nigga. Let me scam him. Let me do this. And after a while, you see these guys, they don't want to be with the women. They're going away.
Like very low-key designer, not no Prada, not no Fendi, not no Ferragamo, not no Gucci, not no Louis Vuitton. But that's what these women in Atlanta like, and that's what they want, and that's what they expect, because this is what they see on TV. This is what they see from these rappers. This is what they see from these women that they idolize to be on Love and Hip Hop. And this is what they're going to expect for you to do and get for them. And that was a problem for me. Like, I've been knowing you a couple of months and you asking me for Prada? Like, what do I look like? Like, do I look like a fool? Like, nah. So,
see, now this is a good young man. I think he's educated. He's hardworking. He came looking for opportunity, so he's an ambitious young man. Because most dudes won't leave and go nowhere. So if you got a young man that leave his home city and go to a bigger city seeking out success, he's a charge forward kind of guy. He's young. He doesn't have any children. He's looking for a woman. And he's expecting a woman with an infinite or regenerative mentality, but he's getting nothing but finite women, finite thinking women. I want the quick flip. Give me the money now. I ain't trying to plan nothing with you. What you gonna be able to do for me other than this money? They playing finite, and the finite people always end up losing. So those women are gonna be the future old, broke, sick. Nobody cared for them. End up throwed up in a government paid for a nursing home. That's gonna be their future because they didn't form a family. Because they're uncivilized. Because they're faithless. So they are the deaf, dumb, and blind. You can't build an infinite structure with a finite-minded woman. You can't build your family. You can't build your future. All she's gonna be is a deduction from your life. She's gonna constantly be taking and not giving and making the situation worse and worse and worse. Uncivilized. You can't. It's like they don't want to be civilized. So on a heterosexual side, in the youth, in a city like Atlanta, and many other cities, much of the West, there's a lot of this going on, especially with blacks, but not only with blacks, but with blacks, it's like on steroids. And that's terrible for our future.
Right? So obviously the ultimate goal should be to get married, but some people are saying, well, oh, you're not ready to get married? Well, then you're not ready to start dating. Well, here's why this doesn't make any sense. Because of the fact that dating takes time. Okay? I don't want my children, I don't want your children to necessarily just marry the first person who comes along. I would rather see them get out there and spend a lot of time with people of the opposite gender, okay? And not necessarily just in dating, but even just as friends, just in groups, just getting in groups of young people. And I want them to meet a lot of different people and possibly even date a lot of different people so that they can see what's out there, and then they can figure out who they actually want to spend the rest of their life with. Not just marry the first person who comes along and then spend the rest of their life wondering like, oh man, you know, what was out there? Because I only ever dated this one person, okay? So here's the thing, that's gonna take time. There's a process of getting to know various suitors, getting to know various girls as a guy, and meeting different people, and that's gonna take some time. And then even once you find a person that you think like, yeah, okay, you know, this is someone that I may wanna marry, you know, you're probably gonna spend a few months at least dating that person. It's gonna take some time. So here's the thing. In our society, generally, and obviously there are exceptions to this, but generally in our society, the minimum age for getting married is 18 years old, right? I mean, legally and just culturally, that's pretty much the minimum age that you're gonna get married is 18. But that does not mean that you should not let your kids date until they're 18. Now again, putting a number on it is my opinion. Again, I'm not saying that this is biblical, but but other people are giving their opinions. Well, I'm gonna give my opinion. Any pastor who preaches on this is gonna give his opinion. I'm gonna tell you right now, I think that it is a mistake to not let your children date until they're 18 years old. That's extreme and over the top to make them wait that long, and I'll tell you why. A couple of reasons. Number one, and if you would, turn in your Bible to Proverbs chapter 5. Reason number one is that if 18 is the minimum age for getting married, and I'm not saying everybody's gonna get married at 18. Obviously, a lot of people aren't ready to get married at 18. They haven't necessarily met the right person at 18. But theoretically, possibly, they could get married at 18, and that would be a perfectly normal thing to do. Then they're gonna have to start dating before that if they wanna get married when they're 18. And so, in general, I allow my children to start dating when they're 16, which gives them a couple years of dating so that they can actually see what's out there, meet some people, date some people, go through that process for a while so that theoretically they could possibly be ready to get married when they're 18. That doesn't mean they're gonna get married when they're 18. Obviously, my son Solomon just got married. What was he, 22 when he got married? Help me out, Juja, I need some numbers here. Our oldest sons got married 22 and 20 respectively, or 22 and 19 or something like that. What? What? No, 22 and 20. Okay, so here's the thing. You know, obviously I'm not saying, hey, you're just gonna get married right when you're 18. Look, I got married when I was 19 years old. Okay, Pastor Jimenez got married when he was 18 years old, like I think a week or two after his 18th birthday. And I believe that that is a virtue. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's a good idea. Now, I'm not saying rush to get married or marry the first person that comes along, or you've got to get married when you're super young or something. But I'm saying that biblically, now that was my opinion. Now let's get to the Bible. Here's what the Bible says. The Bible praises getting married young, period. This is a fact. Look what the Bible says in Proverbs chapter number 5. Verse 18, let thy fountain be blessed and rejoice with the wife of thy youth. Let her be as the loving hind and pleasant roe. Let her breast satisfy thee at all times, and be thou ravished always with her love. And why wilt thou, my son, be ravished with a strange woman and embrace the bosom of a stranger? Now, riddle me this. How can you have a wife of your youth to rejoice with if you don't get married as a youth? In order to have a wife of your youth, you have to get married as a youth. So I don't buy into this idea of saying, oh, you know, you got to wait till you're older to get married. You can't get married as a youth. Well, I think you can get married as a youth because the Bible actually talks about this in a positive way. Okay? Not only that, but flip over to Psalm 127. And while you're turning to Psalm 120,
I couldn't agree with that more. I think what the Bible does say, keep the woman pregnant. You know, a woman once she gets grown, she should get married and start having children. Because if she don't, she's gonna get into devilment. That's what's stated in the Bible. And so I think that in terms of being in line with our faith, as well as sustainability, regenerativeness, that is in line with the sustainable process, because you create your family at the beginning of your fertility window and then immediately start reproducing in your youth. They're going to give you the healthiest children. You're going to have the more energy to deal with the children, and you're not going to waste your fertility window. Then you get 30-some years old talking about you still trying to find the best version of yourself.
How many people are lasting marriages in this era? Every time you turn around, somebody getting divorced, and not only they getting divorced in 6 months, a year. Yeah. This shit ain't even lasting 4-5 years. That alone lets you know what the fuck out here.
2 black adults, neither one of them has formed a family. And both of them are advanced age for initiating a family. So God's plan is for us to have children, to get married and start having children at an early age before we get, because I did all my dumb stuff during them years. All the drinking and driving, partying, hanging out with the frat, going over here, doing all of this, trying to do it all. I did that in my 20s, whereas I should have, like I seen a lot of white people do. I seen a lot of white people, that girl they met and fell in love with in college, as soon as they graduated, and right before they graduated, they got married. They went out into the world as a married couple in their early 20s, 22. When I was coming up, they was doing it. Now, not doing it. You can't, these guys trying to date these women, and these women, they ain't dateable.
Going for that at all. And outside of just the women being very materialistic, they really care about their social media appearance, the way they look, the way that they're portraying themselves to be. The same as like I explained for the guys. These women do the same things, bro. They'll be walking around with Fendi on, Gucci, Ferragamo, you know what I'm saying, Louis Vuitton, and they don't got no jobs, bro. Like, these are the same women. They don't have no job. They live at home with their parents. They just waiting for an opportunity so they can leech onto it. They don't have no money, bro. No.
Read for you from Malachi chapter 2, verse 14. Yet ye say, wherefore? Because the Lord hath been witness between thee and the wife of thy youth, against whom thou hast dealt treacherously, yet is she thy companion and the wife of thy covenant. And so, 3-4 times in Scripture we have this idea of the wife of your youth. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with getting married young. Obviously, not everyone's mature enough to get married when they're 18 or ready for marriage at 18, but many people are. And you know what? I wasn't necessarily super mature when I got married at age 19, but you're not going to believe this. Getting married kind of makes you grow up pretty quick. Having kids makes you grow up. And you know, part of the reason why we see young people in their 20s, they're immature often, is because they don't have any responsibilities. Nothing's really forcing them to move to the next level in life. And I feel like Pastor Jimenez getting married at age 18, myself getting married at age 19, that was something that kept us out of trouble during a time period when a lot of people are getting into trouble. That actually kept us on a right path and kept us moving forward and growing and maturing and learning. So I think that it's silly to tell young people to just wait for the sake of waiting. Like, look, if you're not ready, wait. If you haven't met the right person, wait. Take all the time you need. Wait till you're 25, 30, 35, 40. Wait as long as you need. You do that. It's up to you. But what I'm saying is, though, if you're ready to get married and you found the right person, you shouldn't just wait for the sake of waiting. If you're 18 and you're ready to roll, I'm for you. It worked for Pastor Jimenez. It worked for me. It's worked for a lot of people. The previous generation, you go back to my parents' and grandparents' generation, you know, they were getting married when they were like 20 years old. Now people are getting married when they're like 30 years old. But that's because we live in a godless society where it's not that they're just a virgin till they're 30, folks, right? And so I think that the Bible clearly talks about the virtues of the wife of your youth. So you got to be a youth to have a wife of your youth. Okay. Look at Psalm 127 verse 3. Lo, children are an heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. As arrows are in the hand of a mighty man, so are children of the youth. This is talking about having children as a youth, right? So again, you know, you can't have children of your youth if you didn't get married and start having kids in your youth. You know,
they're selling. They're doing more than just dancing. With this in mind, some people probably did. I'm gonna go to Atlanta and strip. Some people probably did. I can imagine a lot of women probably head this way. They know about the strip clubs and they want to go dance. They see this being easy money, and it could be easy money to start off with, and then it turns into something else. Because you better believe all those women who strip are also escorting and prostituting also. They're selling. They're doing more than just dancing. You better believe that. I know that for a fact. So it reaches a point where you see these nice looking brothers. I know this is what I see. I see them in the gym, I see them working out. Next thing I know, I meet them, they just moved to Atlanta. Within months, here they are butt naked. Here they are on porn, some porn site. Fans only, OnlyFans. Or here they are escorting themselves. They have these sites where they escort. Or they say they're massage therapists. Or they private dancers. They come dance in your home, strip for you. This is becoming normal. And you wonder, well, what's going to happen to these people if we lose such a large group of people to this foolishness? If we lose such a large group of college educated in some cases, yeah, that's right. Something's wrong here. I don't know the answer to the question because I really don't know. Maybe I'm over. Maybe it's not a big deal. You know, we've had strippers and escorts and prostitutes, stripping and escorting and prostituting going on forever. Porn also. I just personally feel that this is dangerous. And it's not going to end well for these individuals. I know it's not going to end well for these people. Regardless of what they think, this is not going to end well. I've lived here for 30 years. I know how these situations end, most times in death.
So I hope you can understand that the depth of this is you're getting three perspectives in one. Now, from the perspective of the straight male, you get to view the average woman that these guys are dealing with. This guy's told the stories of two straight, young, got themselves together, and I'm not meaning they're millionaires, but decent jobs, decent men, straight men, giving him information. So we get to take a look at the woman of Atlanta, the black woman of Atlanta, through straight males who dated them. And what have they both said? They want money. One said, or the gentleman from today said, you date them and they want money so they can flex on Instagram. So that's the young heterosexual, and probably some of them are bisexual, but this is the young woman, the young black woman. Then you see the perspective. He's giving you the perspective of the gay black man. Some of these gay dudes are doing everything. Guy's got a living girlfriend, 2 small kids, and he's stripping in a gay club, and he's escorting with gay men. At the same time, having a living girlfriend and 2 kids. That's not sustainable. This gay man said that there was a man doing that. And then so we're looking at the gay male in Atlanta, of course, and there's many gay black men in America, but especially in Atlanta. He said, I'm seeing what most of them are doing, and they're selling themselves. Now, the gay man already, I mean, the crazy thing is, like they are taking advantage of their fertility window in their youth, the men, because some of them are living both lifestyles at the same time. They're stripping gay and playing in the gay side of things, and doing gay porn and prostituting themselves on the gay side, but has a girlfriend and kids, living on both sides at the same time. And he said how these things usually work out with these gay guys is death. Most of them die. And I knew a guy that went to my church. He was always a little funny. He was older than me. And he was always a little funny. But then one day he disappeared, and they said, oh, he moved to Atlanta. Then many years ago, well, probably a decade ago or something like that, I heard he died. He probably was in his 40s. Said he had turned black. Now, what he was doing in Atlanta, I don't know. But they said he turned black. Like he was already a dark brown, but just turned black, like his skin. Something got in his skin and it turned his skin black. And he died. So he's saying mostly death. He sees this happen. These guys die. They catch HIV. They get killed. They end up bad. So then you got the pitfalls for the gay guys they're dying. Most of them gonna die before they're 50, according to this guy. And he tells a lot of stories of these guys and things that happen to them. Now what's gonna happen? So the gay man is, you could take him off the table. The black women, they're out there selling themselves. They're off the table. Then you get to see the perspective of the straight male. The straight male's frustrated. He was like, yo, I can't, this don't work for me. Most of the stories that the gay guy told about the straight dudes that came in there, they ended up leaving. And then the straight guy telling his own story said, yo, I'm leaving up out of here, man. I ain't feeling this place. I ain't feeling these people. So that's 3 good perspectives that we get from this information. Just getting to see what's going on. And basically the straight guys with morals are just alone. They just pushed out of, they just can't exist there because it's such darkness there.
And it's like, where are you getting all this stuff from? They finessing it from sugar daddies. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they don't got no jobs, bro. Like, these are the same women. They don't have no job. They live at home with their parents. They just waiting for an opportunity so they can leech onto it. They don't have no money, bro. No job. And it's like, where are you getting all this stuff from? They finessing it from sugar daddies. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't got no money. They don't got nothing. So I got so tired of dealing with these fake people, bro. And these people living these fake lives. And I'm just like, bro, I can't deal with this. Like, this just ain't my type of crowd. This ain't my flow. So between the fake people, the expensive prices of living here, the women,
Yeah, the women. So when you talk about the lifetime economics of married versus single women, these women are not only plundering their marriageable years, but then they're racking up body counts. Because if you're selling, doing online porn and stripping, you're racking up a lot of bodies. So the women are racking up bodies. At the same time, they're destroying, they're exploiting and splurging off and everything like that, their most valuable, marriageable, fertile years. So those women are going to end up remaining single. And now, like my sister, they wasted all of their 20s. Now my sister done wasted her 30s. Now she's in her 50s, single, broke, childless, scraping by, pushing up to them 60s. And it just keeps pushing. And the burden on these women, when all of the it's going to be a lot of mental health women once these young, extremely vain women, when their beauty fades, because they're not, most of them ain't living healthy where they can preserve their beauty longer. Most of them going to brunch, drinking liquor, eating chicken and waffles. Just so busy living life, they don't learn how to properly live life, like how to live a healthy lifestyle, how to develop sustainable habits, when to present yourself and how to present yourself, not to get tattoos all over your neck and your arm and your chest. Just destroying themselves in terms of value for marriage. And so lifetime, those single women are going to be poor. And as their beauty fades, they're going to be depressed because they centered their whole life around vanity and not family, around material, not family, not faith. They study more ways to get material. They didn't study faith at all. So they have no guideposts. They have no knowledge. And so they're going to be punished the longer they live because not using those early marriageable, fertile years to secure a strong life partner and husband to regenerative, sustainable family, and not having the skills to increase their income, they're just going to suffer. And this is what I see single women doing in long term. And many married women fare off much better. They have a man, he has insurance, he works, he's contributing, they're working, contributing, they have a better quality of life, they have children, they have a more fulfilled life, they have something to live for other than Instagram. Buying houses. See, these single chicks, they say the single chicks buying up all the houses. These single black chicks ain't buying up no houses, bro. Most of them. They ain't buying up no houses. They're paying rent, buying cars, buying lashes, buying weave, buying trips, going on Instagram, showing to everybody what they doing. My sister don't own no house. And most of the I know from my era, there's some women that in their 40s now, like from college. A few, I know some that's single, never had kids, but that's living pretty decent because they got educated. But those are the people like in my age group who wasn't doing all of this nasty stuff. Like my sister, she didn't go get educated. She went straight to the streets. So she at where they gonna be at. But I got some people that came up with me. They went to church. We all grew up in church. Everybody went to church. So they have some type of morals. A lot of them I met in college. Some of them just never got married, but they got a nice, they got the females got like a director job. And they probably making 6 figures and they got a house. They in a lot of debt. Even if they paid off their student loans, a lot of them getting their student loans paid off now. Because I was arguing with this chick on whatchamacall about that. But they had more morals. These people that's in their mid and late 40s, they came up with more morals and they didn't waste their 20s just partying. And they wasn't throwing away all their money. They were frugal or modest with their money. They went to college. They got their degree. They put in the work at their corporations. They worked themselves up. These chicks that's out here selling themselves and getting this quick money, they're not. You can't do that and be the top person at your corporation at the same time. Can't do that. You got to do one or the other. So a lot of them are choosing to get the easy, quick money because they have no moral compass. And they're going to be the ones in their 30s and especially their 40s, 50s and beyond. They're going to, when their beauty fades and they look like, what's that chick 50 used to date? I can't remember her name. Damn. I can see her face. Vivica. When they start looking like Vivica, but they ain't got the money, because not like Vivica got a lot of money. I'm pretty much sure Vivica got less money than me and more debt. Yeah, they're gonna end up single, childless, miserable, trying to still be sexy, and then complaining and mad and angry, and half of them gonna be on damn Zoloft or some crap like that. That's the lifetime economics of the single woman. And it's not good. And nobody's telling them this. They just say, "Oh, girl, you in charge, go free. You don't gotta settle down. You 25, you too young. Really, you too old. You should have been at 21, you should have been down walking down the aisle. 21. At least that man got 9 years of them 20s. You to give him babies. That's your job. Not the job on your corporation. Now you in your 30s with no man, no kids, and you still didn't make it.
When I was 19, I had my first kid when I was 20. That is the child of my youth right there, right? Because I was pretty young when I did those things. And so I think the Bible's clear on that. Now, if you would flip over to 1 Corinthians chapter 7. And again, I'm not saying that everybody's going to get married young, but the problem is having this one-size-fits-all rule that says, oh, you can't date till you're 18. Now you're making it impossible for people to get married when they're 18, and maybe that is what that person should be doing if they want to get ahead in life and they're working hard and they're moving forward. Why are you holding them back? There's no point. The law says they can get married at 18. That's been a societal norm in America for a long time. I did it. Other people have done it. What's the problem? Why make people wait just for the sake of waiting? And by the way, some parents, they're kind of controlling of their adult children to the point where, like, even after they get married and leave the house, they still want to kind of like run their lives. Like, the proverbial in-laws from hell. right? Who want to like micromanage their married children's lives. Well, I got a cure for that. I got a remedy for that. You just have more kids. Because if you just have a whole bunch of kids, you think I'm interested in running my married children's lives? I'm kind of just like, all right, you know, you guys are off the conveyor belt. Let's go, you know. You know, I'm not trying to sit there and micromanage their lives or micromanage, you know, my future grandchild or whatever, you know. No, man, you know, because I got enough to say grace over. You know, but you get these people who are just really controlling and they don't understand that you leave father and mother and cleave unto your wife. Or maybe they do understand that you leave father and mother and cleave unto your wife, so they're trying to hold on to you and like infantilize their 19-year-old son or their 20-year-old son and like keep him a baby, keep him at home. No, it's time to push him out of the nest, mother bird, and let him meet some girls and date and, you know, because look, I believe that ideally what the Bible teaches is that we should leave our father and mother and cleave unto our wife. Okay. And what do I mean by that? I mean that I think that ideally you should live with your parents until you get married. You know, and I remember when I was a teenager, I was just counting down the days until I turned 18 so I could move out.
So I try to steer people away from that. No, don't do that. This ain't gonna work for you. You can do something else. You're too beautiful. I'm talking about the most attractive guys, beautiful women. Why are they going down this path? Do they not know the outcome and how this is going to end for them? It never ends well. Never. But again, you know, who am I? I'm just a 51-year-old nutcake on the internet according to everybody else. And I'm just sitting here on the internet just sipping coffee. I'm running my mouth. Drinking good coffee too. But I don't know. I don't know the outcome of this. Well, I know the outcome. I just keep wondering why so many people are going down this path. And I know this is not going to end well for these people. This is going to be disastrous. And we need to begin the process of steering these people towards something else. So many people are doing this now. And the shit you see on Instagram, I've met these influencers, they call it. Bunch of drug users. They all use drugs, heavy drugs. But you wouldn't know that because, of course, they're taking all these pictures on Instagram and they look. It's just a lot. Instagram just paints this picture. Instagram, to me, is dangerous because it presents something to you that's so false that if you don't know any better, you think, oh my God, they're living this wonderful life. But you don't know they sucking dick behind some wall someplace. That they laid up to next to some 60, 70, 80-year-old white man who fucking them for that Gucci and Prada, and you see them buying bags of it at the mall, posting pictures, and them expensive shoes, and clothes, and traveling. It's paid by some 92-year-old man on his deathbed. And this is face the facts of this. The only people paying for this type of traveling and stuff like this and clothes is the people who got money, and they tend to be older white men who live in their dreams. They're fetish with black folks. Scary to me, but it's the truth. Ain't you mean black folks get that type of money and they in their elderly years, we throwing on a bunch of, so it just don't happen. It's just a bunch of old white men going after these young black girls, young black men, and taking advantage of them. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's not like they buy them houses and car, well, they buy them a car occasionally. You know, who am I? I'm just a 51-year-old nutcake on the internet according to everybody else. Most times in death. So I try to steer people away from that. No, don't do that. This ain't gonna work for you. you can do something else. You're too beautiful. I'm talking about the most attractive guys, beautiful women. Why are they going down this path? Do they not know the outcome and how this is going to end for them? It never ends well. Never. But again, who am I? I'm just a 51-year-old nutcake on the internet according to everybody else. And I'm just sitting here on the internet just sipping coffee. I'm running my mouth. Drinking good coffee too. But I don't know. I don't know the outcome of this. Well, I know the outcome. I just keep wondering why so many people are going down this path.
He's a gay man. He ain't gonna understand because he living the wrong way too. Right? The answer is easy to that question. Why is so many people living that way? They don't have faith. They don't have anything called the Bible or the Quran to tell them what's right from wrong. Not saying they don't have access to it, but nobody told them to go to church. Everybody forgot about the value in understanding right from wrong and being taught to be a good person and being taught to have values. Money ain't but so valuable. Don't sell your soul. Don't sell your body for money. It's going to lead you down a bad path. All of those good lessons are in the Bible. And we used to go to church, but now we don't go to church. So nobody taught these young people that stuff is dangerous. And what's the long-term outcome? And all they is they young, they poor. Then they see, wow, my sex can bring me money. I can sell that. They don't have faith. They're uncivilized. And they don't know it. Nobody in the people from the legacy media want them to be uncivilized because when they're in this state, they're weak.
It's the most dangerous. It's the most dangerous thing that's facing our society.
So why sign an artist that would promote that?
Because I already answered that question. You weren't paying attention. She asked me talent or issues, and I said talent. But I have to. I can't give up on people.
But I'm saying that's hypocritical, though. You're saying
it's opportunistic. Yeah. I got people to feed.
No faith. All the information they took away from the local information, the church information, and they reprogrammed you through your phone and through your TV, through the internet. Reprogrammed your whole offsprings. Now the single man can't. The single straight man is left out. So the single young straight man who should be finding a partner to form his family, he's left out on the cold. The monetized woman, she don't know no better. She just out there getting money. She don't even know this is coming to an end soon because the youth is short. She destroying her spirit. She destroying her pair bonding ability. She's destroying her mind and her spirit and her soul. She's polluting herself. And it's because of no faith. He don't know that. He don't know that's why he gay. He don't know.
I was just like, man, get me out of here. Get me out of this house. I had a bad attitude. And it was wrong. But that was the attitude I had. And I was literally counting down, just like, all right, this many more years, this many more months, and I am out. And I was just counting down. But you know what? Thankfully, when I was 17, I got in a good church. I got right with God. I started reading the Bible more, learning more about the Bible, learning more about what God says in his word. And I changed my attitude. And I decided, no, I'm not going to move out when I turn 18. I'm going to keep living at home until I get married. And I'm going to get along with my parents. I'm going to learn how to make things work with my parents. And I used to think my parents were impossible to get along with. One time I even said, like, if Jesus lived in our house, he'd get yelled at every day. But that was a stupid statement and it wasn't true. Because as soon as I started acting better myself and actually started changing my attitude, then I didn't get yelled at all. And my parents were super cool after that. Turned out I was the problem. Now I know.
You see what I'm saying? If you heard what he said I was 17 and I found a good church. And that church programmed me the right way. So I couldn't wait to get out of the house and go out there and do my own thing. But then the church, he taught him that the Bible says it's better to stay with your parents until you get married. So when he turned 18, he decided not to move out, and he changed his behavior. And then he found out, hey, I was the problem. You know what I'm saying? And these women, they're never gonna be able to. They can never admit they're the problem, because that young straight male that was in this video, I'm not gonna say he's perfect, but he was a young man going to a city looking for opportunity, hoping to meet a suitable mate, and he wanted to be in a relationship. He didn't want to pay the girl. Now, if I go, I wouldn't have sex with anybody in Atlanta, by the way. It's a dirty cesspool, HIV, herpes infested place that I would keep my dick in my drawers. And I've lived there before. It wasn't that bad back then, but it's bad now. It's bad. So I wouldn't, but that young man wasn't the problem. Because if a reasonable woman with a reasonable, young, attractive, fertile woman he would have met and would have treated him like they're really in a relationship, that she respects the relationship, she respects him, she's not going to cheat on him, she's not going to dress nasty, she's not going to do all his Instagram, and she's like, yo, I want to be with you. He would have been like, yo, well, I want to be with you. And he would have married her and they would have had kids and it would have been okay. But these women, they're not gonna go to a church that's gonna tell them, what they're supposed to be doing for a man and show them where they're the problem. And that's the only thing that can fix them. So the men are there and the men want to be married.
How many people are lasting marriages in this era? Every time you turn around, somebody getting divorced, and not only they getting divorced, they getting divorced in 6 months, a year. Yeah. This shit ain't even lasting 4-5 years. That alone lets you know what the fuck out here.
I'm trying to think of what else. This is what they see from these rappers. This is what they see. Her birthday coming around. Basically what a sugar daddy is. They want somebody that on the rent. I'm definitely not feeling the females here, which is a subject I'm not feel at home. And it took a while for it to really set in. For a while, I was cool with it. I was just going with the flow. And then I'm just like, man, I'm just really not. I ain't feeling it at all, bro. I'm not feeling the people. I'm not feeling the rent. I'm definitely not feeling the females here, which is a subject I'm about to get into right now. Dating in Atlanta, as far as a straight male, is horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Everybody out there just want a sugar daddy, or they just want, well, basically what a sugar daddy is. They want somebody that they can have sex with when they want to, but they need that nigga to be paying them money to do what they want to do with. So basically a sugar daddy. That's really what all them girls out there are looking for.
So that's the position that the young straight male in Atlanta is left in. Dating young women who want sugar daddies. I wouldn't date out there, but if I was out there, I'd be very successful and I would get baddies because I'd pay them. I'd pay him, but it's Atlanta, so I won't pay him because I'm afraid to have sex with a person in Atlanta, from Atlanta, or anybody else that has sex in Atlanta. Because if you got a dude that's with his girl and they 2 kids, but at night he's stripping for men and escorting with men. I don't want to do nothing to do with nobody in that whole city if that's what's going on. I don't even drive through there. I fly over there. Don't want nothing to do with no Atlanta. So yeah, the woman will never be able to be brought in reign to be able to say you're the problem, and you need these faith-based principles to clean your act up. And if you don't secure a man by age 26, you're gonna be by yourself, and it's gonna be a long, hard, lonely, tough ride, and it's gonna be bumpy. Because you be seeing all these low income women out here, and you talk to their kids after they get grown. Yeah, man, we used to get evicted over here, then we had to move to the other side, then we had to move over here. And that's if they got kids. For the ones that don't got kids, it's gonna be a rough ride. With the kids, it's gonna be a rough ride, and without them, it's gonna be a rough ride. So we need faith. These women need faith, and all our people need faith, because the further we move away from the faith, we're gonna be more and more uncivilized. It's gonna be more dangerous. What's happening to go? You might as well say, the more faith goes away, the United States will be Atlanta. The whole United States is gonna be Atlanta, and then I'm leaving. I never felt comfortable in Atlanta as a young man. I was in my 30s. I was in my early 30s. I never felt comfortable. I never wanted to stay there. And I was always happy to get up out of there. And I would never live there again. I don't have any desire to ever live there again.
That's not your situation. But guess what? Sometimes you're the problem, and it's easy to just blame your parents or whatever when it's actually you that needs to get right with God.
So careful, because it feels like everyone here has ulterior motives. That's what it feels like. Like someone here, typically guys down here, they'll like try to befriend you. They'll do this for you. They'll do that for you. But they want something from you. Unless they're one of the diamond in the rough, they want something from you. Just be so careful, because it feels like everyone here has ulterior motives. That's what it feels like. Like someone here, like they just want something. They want something, and if you can get it to them, give it to them, they'll like treat you nice until they can just get it and then discard you on the side of the street. So be very, very cautious about that, because that's what I found. And the next thing is, people here are very materialistic. And you're probably like, you didn't know that already. And yes, I did. But the extent to which people are materialistic is insane. Like so many people that I have met here, they look good. They look presentable. They have Gucci, Louis, whatever you want to like call it. But like, they don't have a bed to lay their head at night. Or they don't have a car, and they Uber everywhere. So it's very much keeping up with the Joneses. They just want to carry that like appearance like they have something. It's all cap, guys. It's cap. Like I've seen this firsthand a million times. It's like people just want to look like they have something just so they can impress other people. But in reality, they don't have anything. And it's unfortunate, but yeah. But the next one, this is the good news though. What I found is that it really just matters on the people or the places that you go and the people that you try to surround yourself with. Because when I first moved here, that was what I was kind of into, the nightlife, going out, partying, clubs, all that. But like, the more I realized that that's not for me, because it's so like, that's when I found a whole different crowd of people, which is it's not like that at all. Like, okay, basically what I'm trying to say is, so after I left like the party scene and I stopped doing that kind of stuff, I started like going to very like nice professional events, and I realized like, wow, this is a whole different side to Atlanta that I've never seen before. Like, I've been to the clubs and I've seen this and this, but this side is where it's at, like the professional side, the networking side, like the career side. Like that is where I personally prefer, because it's not as like phony. And maybe it is, like I haven't gotten too much into that side yet, but it's like people actually have what they say they have. They can actually like back up their career, whatever they say, they can actually prove that that's what they do. It just is much more legit and professional than the other side. So it just depends on what you want here. Like honestly, like if you're okay, what I would say is it's 100% worth it coming down here to network and to meet people and just to be in different spaces, because this is definitely the place for that. Like networking and going to those professional events like I just told you guys about, that 100% is worth it moving down here, because it's legit and people actually want to help other Black people succeed. But on the other hand, if you're just down here for a good time and doing all that, it's like that gets old fast. It gets really old and it's not sustainable. It's not, because it just, you'll see. I don't know how to describe it, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm trying my best to like put this into words, but it's like it never ends well. Like I've seen it so many times, and people get lost. People get lost because they come down here thinking it's gonna go one way and it goes like a completely different direction. So I'm just trying to like prevent that from happening to you guys, because it's real. Don't come down here and expect to like meet a scammer and takes you on trips and all that kind of stuff. Like that is so much of that kind of stuff that I've seen down here is fake. Is fake. And if you do end up doing stuff like that, it's like you're gonna pay the price for it. That's what I'm gonna say. You're just gonna pay the price for it. You'll see one way or another. It's not for free, and you're gonna have to do something to get that or to maintain it. So hey, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you what I've been seeing. The next one is the energy is genuinely different down here, and it's like you can feel vibration. I'm not trying to sound like I'm such a hippie, like I'm not like some spiritual guru or whatever, but like you can feel energy. You can feel energy for sure, and the energy down here is off. Like if you just like, I don't know how to even describe this one, guys. Like you can just feel it in the air. Like it's like something's off about this place. It's just very low vibration, very low vibrational. And if you know what I mean, you just get it. If you don't get it, you don't get it. But like, it just is like, it just has a little, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Like I love this city and I don't regret moving here, but you can definitely feel a shift in energies. And I don't know where that's coming from, but that's what I've experienced. And if you came to the city and you felt the same thing, leave it below, because I can't be the only one that feels like a negative energy here. Just a cloud. It feels like a cloud is always hovering over this place.
And I'm not spending no money just to get a girl. Like, so, I mean, the positives of it is Atlanta's a really beautiful city. You know what I'm saying? Like, driving through downtown Atlanta is absolutely beautiful. You know what I'm saying? It's one of the better looking cities I've ever seen. You know what I'm saying? I'll put Atlanta up there with Chicago, and I think downtown Atlanta looks better than Miami. You know what I'm saying? Atlanta is a beautiful city. It's a lot of opportunity in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of jobs. It's a growing area. And, you know, if you're a Black individual, African-American, Black, whatever, it's a lot of opportunity for you to thrive in Atlanta, because it is a Black city. You know what I'm saying? Atlanta is a Black city. Like, even if you get pulled over by the cops, if you're in downtown Atlanta, it is a 95% chance that the cop is going to be Black. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just how it is. Everybody down there is Black. It is just pro-Black. Everything is Black. Black-owned businesses. Everything. You know what I'm saying? But also, with it being so many people there, you know, that kind of sways the job market, because it's a lot of jobs, a lot of corporations, but it's a lot of people that live in Atlanta and the surrounding areas of Atlanta too. So it kind of balances the job market out. I would say it's pretty average for, you know, city. It's not really much different. A lot of jobs, but it's also a lot of people, and a lot of people moving here. So it's one of those places, if you don't really have like a college degree, or you don't have some kind of certification or something like that, you might struggle for a little while trying to find something, because it's really just not that simple. You got to think about it. For every job you see on Indeed, there's probably 10,000 to 100,000 people applying for the same position. So it can get tough at times, but you know, the jobs are there though. The jobs are definitely there. And Yeah, this video been going for how long? Like 16 minutes. So this video is already longer than I actually wanted it to be. I just wanted to do some completely, free of mind. I didn't want to edit it. I didn't want to script this video. I just really wanted to come up here, talk to y'all, tell y'all how I feel about Atlanta. Probably ever again. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's a beautiful place to visit. I want to live. Like I said in the beginning, Atlanta, I still love it. I didn't want to edit it. I didn't want to script this video. I just really wanted to come up here, talk to y'all, tell y'all how I feel about Atlanta. I still love Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? But it just ain't no place I want to live. Like I said in the beginning of the video, Atlanta is a beautiful place to visit, a vacation. But after you've been there for about a week or less, it's time to go back home, man. I personally don't love it enough to live there. Probably ever again. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm a West Coast guy. I feel like my dream location is in like Arizona or California or somewhere like that. But we're going to get there in time. So for now, I'm back home posted in North Carolina. About to get this little certification so I can work in pharmaceuticals with my pops, you know what I'm saying?
And that's the one thing that I think this young man made a great decision. He said, I'm going to get my certification. I went back home to North Carolina. I'm going back to get my certification so I can work with my pops. That's where he should be. He should be with his father. And if he can work under his father, his father's gonna help him to succeed in the pharmaceutical industry, and he's gonna be there to guide him and help him make better decisions as he's growing. He's like an early 20 man. I think he's 22 years old. He said he's going back to the father. He's going back to his pops. He's gonna go get a certification and work up under his pops. That's the best place for a young man like that to be. And then hopefully back in North Carolina where it's less. I think he's probably from a smaller town in North Carolina. It's less of this ghetto mentality. And he could probably find a decent girl, start his family. And at the same time, he's 22 years old. I think he's college educated. Now he's going to get a certification. I don't know how long that's going to take. It might take a year or two. Then he's going to work in the pharmaceutical industry. So he's getting a credential, and then he's going into an industry. He knows where he's going, and he's going to spend the second half of his 20s and probably his first half of his 30s establishing himself in that industry. So by the time he's 35, 40, he's solid. He got a solid place in a good industry, making good money, and he probably has a family by that time. See, that's a sustainable and a good plan for him. Yeah, so he sounds like he got a bright future.
And I know this is not going to end well for these people. This is going to be disastrous. And we need to begin the process of steering these people towards something else. So many people are doing this now. And the shit you see on Instagram, I've met these influencers, they call it. Bunch of drug users. They all use drugs, heavy drugs. But you wouldn't know that because, of course, they're taking all these pictures on Instagram and they look. It's just a lot. Instagram just paints this picture. Instagram, to me, is dangerous because it presents something to you that's so false that if you don't know any better, you think, oh my God, they're living this wonderful life. But you don't know they sucking dick behind some wall someplace.
You ain't nobody.
A white man who fucking them with that Gucci and polish, and you see them buying bags of it at the mall, posting pictures, and them expensive shoes, and clothes, and traveling. Is paid by some 92-year-old man on his deathbed. Let's just face the facts of this. The only people paying for this type of traveling and stuff like this and clothes, people who got money, and they tend to be older white men who live in their dreams. They're fetish with black folks. Scary to me, but that's the truth. Ain't too many black folks get that type of money in any elderly years. We throwing on a bunch of, so it just don't happen. It's just a bunch of old white men going after these young black girls, young black men, and taking advantage of them. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's not like they buy them houses and car, well, they buy them a car occasionally. People might, some of y'all might say, why you just jealous? They ain't buying you shit. Well, I'm not jealous. I don't need no old white man to buy me shit. I buy my own shit.
This attitude of just, oh man, when I turn 18, I'm going to move out. You know what? Going out there and living in this world as an 18-year-old, 19-year-old by yourself is dangerous. Spiritually, morally. And not only that, but, you know, it's just super expensive anyway. Like, you're going to save so much money by just staying at home with your parents until you get married, right? And so I ended up staying at home until I got married. And I lived with my parents until I got married. You know, I think that that's a good way to do things. I think that that's the ideal situation. I'm not really sure how I got off on that, but I told you to turn to 1 Corinthians chapter 7, right? So 1 Corinthians, counting down. No, that still doesn't explain where I was going with that. What's that? Babying your children. Babying your children, being a control freak. Right. Just like trying to keep them so that like I'm going to make it impossible for them to move out when they're 18 because I'm just going to keep them so dumb and they're not going to be able to drive and they're not going to have ID and they're not going to know what to do. You know, just that's not, imprisoning your children is not the answer. You know what I mean? Like, look, my kids, when they hit 18, you know, they're going to be smart people that are able to make it in this world. And at that point, I'm going to have to rely on the teachings that I've given them, the Christianity that I've preached unto them, that they will go out and do what they've been taught and follow the Bible and whatever. You know, I can't force them as adults to do my bit. And even, look, all you're doing is just prolonging the inevitable. Because even if you do infantilize that 19-year-old and tell him that he's got to stay at home and he can't date and can't do these things, you know what? If you do that, eventually, though, you know, the day's going to come when you're going to have to let go and let him be his own man.